A huge jobs report, and I assume the market is going crazy right now, probably just opened, because what this shows is that the Trump economic policies are actually working. If you look below the surface, I think the numbers are actually better.
Well, the government shutdown had much bigger negative effects than I think anyone expected. But in the end, you know, if you go to next year, these factories are being built, the jobs are going to be there.
Ticking up in the unemployment rate up to 4.4%. There's also the traditional revisions of July and August, shedding 7,000 jobs and 26,000 in August. Then you see the unemployment rate slowly rising for 4 months here. Axios writes it this way. Unemployment hits four-year high, but data paints a messy, mixed picture. There was an apparent burst of hiring, but also the highest unemployment rate in 4 years. And both data points came with big caveats. There is no strong evidence that the labor market is rapidly weakening or gaining momentum, but there are data points to support either position, which is why the Federal Reserve is now trying to make a decision before its next meeting. Let's bring in our panel, Fox News contributor Guy Benson, Democratic strategist Adrian Elrod, and Trey Gowdy, former congressman, South Carolina, and host of Sunday Night in America with Trey Gowdy. Trey, you know, these labor numbers, the market seemed to love it in the morning, and then suddenly I think realized maybe it means the Fed's not cutting rates. How do you see the economy, and how do you read these numbers?
It's a mixed bag. I mean, the jobs numbers exceeded expectations. I mean, there are certain sectors that were driving that, but unemployment is worrisome. The president's not a huge fan of Jerome Powell. I don't think he's going to cut rates when they meet again, which is going to make the president very, very unhappy. I think we're just going to have to wait and see and wait until this big, beautiful law actually takes effect. And then when people start paying their taxes in April, they'll realize that they're not going up thanks to reconciliation. Americans have to be patient, Brett, and we're not great at that.
Yeah, we're not great at that. Adrian, National Association of Realtors says first-time buyers now make up just 21% of the market, the lowest share since NAR began tracking in 1981. Those who do buy are older, too. The median age of first-time buyers has climbed to a record 40, up from late 20s in the 80s. So it's showing that the housing market, too, is a little, questionable, mixed bag.
Yeah, it's definitely a mixed bag, Brett. And when you look at the fact that unemployment is the highest that it's been since October of 2021, that under Trump, 49,000 manufacturing jobs and counting have been lost. And then you look at companies like Verizon, who have laid off over 113,000 employees this year. It is troubling. Now, at the same time, there are some signs that the market is doing well. There were some more jobs added in this report, but the bottom line is I think Trump's got a lot of work to do when it comes to making things better for the American people and getting those costs down, which are affecting so many Americans right now as well.
Guy?
Yeah, I think the report this morning, overall, the top line was manna from heaven for this administration. They've been looking for a positive story on the economy. They have one to tell, but there have been crosswinds at the very least. So to have a big beat on jobs created in September, I think, was welcome news for them. I saw the Atlanta Fed also had a pretty positive read on GDP. So they can point to these things and saying, you got to be patient, but it's coming. Democrats are using affordability, problem that they helped cause, by the way, as a cudgel against the Republicans and Trump. And that will be the fight and the crux of the midterm elections over the next 6 to 8 months.
And affordability is what helped elect New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, who heads to the White House tomorrow. Take a listen.
It speaks volumes that tomorrow we have a communist coming to the White House because that's who the Democrat Party elected as the mayor of the largest city in the country.
This is an opportunity to make the case for New Yorkers as to what it means to have to suffer through this affordability crisis and what it means to make it even more difficult to do so.
The President Trey says he likes to talk to people, all kinds of people. It's not usual for the New York City mayor to make the trek to the White House.
No, and Mayor-elect Mamdani will be treated with graciousness. Brett, I can't help but recall, and perhaps you do too, on a debate stage, Ted Cruz went after, quote, New York values. And Donald Trump defended in the Deep South New York values, and that's the same jurisdiction that indicted him more times than I can count, and tried to take hundreds of millions of dollars away from him. So I'm going to be really curious what Mamdani wants and how helpful President Trump is. I think he still loves New York, but they didn't love him back, which is why he's in Florida.
Adrian, it's interesting about messaging, and we've talked before on the panel here about how much oxygen the mayor-elect is taking up as far as coverage. Rahm Emanuel wrote in the Wall Street Journal, the Democrats' challenge for the 28 election. Democrats have to do more than simply muzzle their unsuccessful messages. They need to craft a narrative and agenda that reflects America's middle-class economic values. We need to be more about opportunities and responsibilities, less about rights and guarantees. The American dream, the expectation that each generation should do better than the last should become our North Star. Is Mamdani the North Star? Is he the guy that's leading the way on those messages?
Well, Brett, as much as a lot of Republicans out there would like for Mamdani to be the North Star of the Democratic Party or the North Star in general, they want to make him the boogeyman. He simply is not. We got to look at the fact that, yes, Democrats had an extremely historically successful election 2 weeks ago today, or 2 weeks ago, almost today. But you also got to look at Abigail Spanberger and Mikey Sherrill, two national security soccer moms who did it extremely well in New Jersey and Virginia, respectively. What was the common through line between the Mamdanis, the Spanbergers, and the Sherrills? It was affordability and how they met voters where they were when it talked about costs. Now, I think Mamdani is coming out there and saying a lot of things that are not going to actually come to fruition, but he's at least showing voters that he's trying, and I think that Democrats can learn a lot from that. And I think Rahm Emanuel, my former boss, when I worked for him at the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, is exactly right that we have to figure out ways to not just run against Trump, but to actually put a forward-looking agenda that talks about how we're going to fix the economy for the American families forward. And I hope that that's what Democrats will do going into the midterms next year.
Guy, you know, Donald Trump, the candidate in 2016 and in 2024, the victorious campaigns, tapped into that same kind of feeling, that same kind of concern about the economy. And they're betting that first quarter, second quarter kind of backs that up ahead of the 26 election.
It's a big bet, right? That's going to be the whole ballgame, I think, in the upcoming elections. They have set the table in some positive ways, certainly with the big, beautiful law and some of the certainty on taxes that they were able to create, the Republicans and the Trump administration. There are these concerns about tariffs and what that's going to look like moving forward. But Secretary Besson's been out there saying, give it a little bit of time. In the first half of next year, people are going to feel this. And as I said, it's a very big bet. The Democrats politically are hoping that won't be the case. The Republicans want to get more jobs reports like the one we got today, and then some.
I want to play this. Several Democratic lawmakers urging military to refuse illegal orders.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
So the president took to Truth Social, Trey, saying this is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors, lock them up. Seditious behavior punishable by death. The White House press secretary saying he's not calling for the execution. But it is getting a lot of attention. Thoughts?
I'm sure he meant after a trial by your peers, a jury trial by your peers, and after you have been found guilty. Look, the video is stupid. I mean, when Martha MacCallum challenged them on what orders are you talking about, the guy from Colorado, Crow, it was silent. I mean, it was a stupid video. Look, you can't get put to death for making a stupid video, or I'd be dead. But I understand why the president is upset. It was a dumb video. I would advise him to ignore it.
All right. Panel, thanks so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.